Welcome, everyone, to the Criminal Justice Meeting, January 11, 2017. We're going to call this thing to order. Roll call.
Commission members Brown,
Present.
Carter, Harris,
Present.
Herr, Rodriguez, Vice Chairman Little,
Present.
and Chairman Vieira. We do not have a quorum.
Okay. Well, let's get right into the flag salute, shall we? Please stand.
Put your hands over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since we don't have a quorum, folks, we will get right into any type of staff reports and listen to that. We can't take any action of any type whatsoever, so we will be able to hear any speaker cards on non-agenda items if you feel compelled to do so. So we'll start right away with Mr. Ruiz.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and Happy New Year. And I'd like to begin with wishing Vice Chairman Little a happy birthday today, sir. I know I made my comments previously up here regarding age, so that is not a direct attack on you.
I still have that embedded in my memory.
I'm sure it's on record somewhere also.
He's probably already forgot it.
Okay, with statistics for the month of December, as well as I'm going to go into overall 2016, part one, the entire year for 2016 in comparison to 2015 to begin with, we saw these almost a 5% decrease in part one crimes within the city of Lancaster. Now, these numbers are not official. We're still waiting for a couple more data to correct or adjust, but it's going to be pretty much close to 5%. 3 to 5% is kind of our window where we're at in regards to part one crimes. We're very happy about that. Obviously, you know what challenges we had last year in 2016, administratively and internally, and I think that's commendable to all the sheriff personnel and all the personnel at Lancaster Station that were able to be proactive and help with the help of the city and the council and everyone else there to drop the crime rate. So we're happy to report that. Again, it'll probably be the next report where we'll have official numbers next month for sure. But this is what we're looking at as of right now. When we're talking about crimes against persons, your assaults and things of that, felonious assaults, it was up 12%. However, in regards to property crimes, overall, it's down 7.5%. And I broke it down as far as property crimes. Robberies are up 4%. Burglaries were down 21%. That does include also residential burglaries. Auto thefts were up 23%. And other thefts were down 8%. So overall, when we accumulated all our numbers within the city, it came down to almost 5%. When part one crimes in comparison of 2015 to 2016. Next slide, talking about the burglary suppression team for the month of December in comparison to November. There was a decrease of 7 arrests of felony arrests for the burglary team. Search warrants, they did a decrease of 4. Now, the decrease is significant of the fact that November was a very high active month for the burglary suppression team. So December, they didn't have as many arrests or as many search warrants conducted because, holiday season, things slow down a little bit. But at the same time, there was just no need to do as many search warrants because, again, the activity dropped a little bit. Warrant arrests, there was a decrease in comparison to 2016. I apologize, I don't have the actual numbers with me. I was in a hurry leaving my desk and I left those specific numbers on there. But this is reflective of the change from November to December. Firearms recovered were 0, and there was no change from the previous month in November because they didn't have any firearms recovered in November either. However, they did have an increase of $12,500 of recovered property. I believe off the top of my head, In November, there was like $30,000 of recovered property, and in December, they recovered $42,500. So that made that increase of over $12,000. And next slide, please. The Lancaster team also was very active in November and didn't have as much activity in December. So they had a significant drop in a number of felony crimes of felony arrests. Misdemeanor arrest was also -2, so a total drop of -32 arrests in comparison to the month of November. They did have an increase of stolen vehicles that were recovered by 3, and they have 5 firearms that were recovered in December. In November, they didn't have any firearms recovered, so that's a plus of 5. Next slide, please. Robbery team also. They had a decrease of 8 felony arrests. They also had an increase of 4 additional search warrants from the previous month and 2 more additional recovered firearms. The robbery team also recovered 5 firearms in December versus 3 firearms that were recovered in November. And total activities, total robberies of it was up by 8. I can't remember exactly what the exact number was in December to November, but I know there was an increase of number of robberies. And of those robberies, 7 additional were armed robbery, and there was 1 additional strong arm from the previous month. Next slide, please. Thank you. Some of the activities that we did in December were promotion on our social media. And I know last time I reported on our social media activity as our viewership or followers, if you will, we had close to about 6,000 followers. Last time at the end of the year, on December 31st, we have now 15,000 followers on our Lancaster Station Facebook page. That is the number one number of followers for any station in the entire Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We're only short by Sheriff Headquarters Bureau, which has 100,000, but we're catching up on them. We're pretty confident our social media activity is going to gain on them. But all jokes aside, we've been using our social media as a means to communicate with the community, and we've been putting out a lot of vehicle theft prevention, telling the general public, hey, one of the common things that's happening is warm-up stolens. In other words, where it's cold in the morning. We have a very high commuter employment population here, where sometimes what happens is a citizen will come on out, warm up their car in their driveway, forget coffee or a coat, or it's too cold to wait outside for their vehicle to warm up. They'll step inside for a minute or 2. When they come back to the driveway, their vehicle's gone. We consider that a warm-up stolen. So we've had a significant trend on those. So we're getting the word out there and letting the public know, hey, on social media, that's not a good idea. Don't be doing that under any means. But obviously there's thieves out there that are preying on that opportunity. So we don't want to present that opportunity out there.
Is that a citation?
Is it a citation? Well, it's on public property. It's on their private property.
The reason why I ask is because there was something that came across social media that said that someplace that they were warming up their car and they're issuing citations for that same reason.
Yeah, I think there was a specific city out there that was enforcing that. I can't remember off the top of my head. So, Chicago.
It was in Chicago.
They still have cars in Chicago? Oh, okay. I thought everyone takes the L out there. So, going along also, same thing, we continued our trends as far as elderly scams. We go to different senior citizen centers and educate them on some of the practices that are going out there that are preying on elderly as far as getting money from them through phone scams as well as internet scams and fake websites. Personal theft prevention and burglary prevention are future activities that we're going to put out there. One of the other trends that's going along out there is grand theft person or somebody who has like a cell phone or an item specifically on them. They're not paying attention to their environment. These cell phones now are like $700-800, and there's a criminal activity out there where someone's just, you see it everywhere you go. People are looking down on their cell phones, not walking where they're going, outside of the physical danger of possibly getting struck by a vehicle or wherever they're walking or bumping into something, there's thieves that, knowing that people aren't aware of their surroundings, coming up behind them, grabbing their $700-800 cell phone and running away. And not just mainly just taking information of the value of the cell phone, but there's account information, there's bank information on there that they're also counting on to try and collect. So we're making people aware of that. Hey, be aware of your surroundings. Not only just don't text and drive, don't even, text and walk. So that's information we're sharing out there with the public, as well as burglary prevention. Along with the City of Lancaster, we're still partnering with neighborhood watches, helping people giving them information on how to properly fortify their houses to prevent residential burglary. And you can tell the practice that we have been doing with the city has been very beneficial in the statistics and the number of residential burglaries that are dropped in 2016. So we think that's been very productive. And then also we did a campaign also, Don't Shoot, during New Year's Eve. We hit up a lot of businesses. I think we distributed over 300 different flyers to different businesses. And we put it on social media, reminding people not to fire in the air with their firearms during New Year's Eve. And we had very, very little activity. In fact, I don't even think we heard one shot, if maybe it was a backfire of a vehicle on New Year's Eve. So we think that was thanks to the efforts of, a lot of the activity that we were doing as a station, putting that information out there. And then the next slide also is our community outreach. We had a month-long toy drive from Thanksgiving all the way till about December 20th. We collected close to nearly 3,000 different toys. And in the 5 years that I've been working in community relations there, that's by far the highest quantity of toys that we've collected. And we're very grateful to the community and all the business owners who helped us with this year's toy drive. The vast majority of those went, as you can see, it's a house that we went to, was victims of crime. Short story with this picture on the lower left. It's a family that 10 days before Christmas, if you will, the Grinch went into their house and stole all their gifts that were under the Christmas tree. And so we had a bunch of gifts that were collected, and we gave them to that family, and they were extremely grateful. And that's a small story of similar other stories where families were victimized of crime, and our detective bureau helped us get us these names and these addresses of the family members, called the parents, hey, what are your kids like? And we accommodated them with a lot of the gifts that we had. Also on December 24th and 25th, our patrol deputies, they were tasked with driving around and just randomly finding children who were either good Samaritans or saw kids were behaving, and he gave them a toy, gave them a stuffed animal, or went to a house where maybe dad was arrested for domestic violence or there was an incident that was traumatic to the child. We gave them a gift, and that was very well received. We also went to the pediatric ward at Antelope Valley Hospital on the 23rd and gave them some gifts also. I mean, who wants to be in Christmas, while in the hospital? So we gave them a gift there also. So we had numerous activities, but the vast majority of these gifts were recipients that had either previously or had been victims of crime or witness of crime. So that was very well received. We also still do Coffee with a Deputy, the second Thursday of every month. We have that going tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We'll be at the Lemon Leaf Cafe on Lancaster Boulevard, where we do, again, spread a lot of our information in regards to crime prevention. And then we also now do Coffee for Vets at least once a month at 7:30 in the morning. One of the Tuesdays of the month that it's every Tuesday at Crazy Autos on Avenue I that they do Coffee for Vets. And our office picks a Tuesday. It's normally either the second or third Tuesday of every month where we go, and we also go with the vets. And we use them also as a conduit to spread our word of whatever our crime prevention theme is that month or that week. And they've been very helpful and very receptive to that. And then Martin Luther King Service Day is coming up also. We have deputies that are signed up to help with that community outreach also, amongst many, many other community activities that we go through. But other than that, aside from any questions or statistics that I can review for you, I am done with my presentation.
Thank you. I do have one question. Did I understand that the month of December, the numbers were down for burglary?
No, not that the numbers were down, sir, that our arrest activities were down.
And when I say that, okay, you're saying your arrest activity is down, not
Yes,
your
sir.
actual violations.
Correct, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all those are indicative of our activity and arrest. If you want, I can go into another slide that I have that has the comparison from month to month. I could show you those numbers if you like.
Yes, that
From
would
November. Sure. Give me a second. So these are the crime statistics from month to month in comparison. I know these numbers are hard to see, but so as far as Part 1 crimes, everything in the red is 2016 and everything in the blue is 2015. As far as Part 1 crimes overall, there was 551 Part 1 crimes in 2016 in the month of December. In the month of November, it was 509. So you could tell there was, math real quick, 41% jump as far as Part 1 crimes in November to December. And then, but you could tell in comparison of 2015 that overall the activity has dropped. So everything in the blue at the higher up, that's indicative of what's 2015. We're talking about burglary specific. If you go to the next slide, please. Actually, robberies. So in the month of November, the number of robberies was 20, and in the month of December, it was just under 30. I want to say, but the average was 29. So we were still below our average for the entire year of 2016 for the month of December. And then aggravated assaults also, November, we were just about maybe 44 aggravated assaults, and then in December we went up just a little bit to about maybe 47, but we were still below our average of 57 for the entire year. And then here we go, burglaries. So there was an increase in burglaries. So November we were at about 90, and then we went to our average in December. Or actually, I take that back, about 87, and then we were 89, 90 in December. So it's a slight jump in the number of burglaries, but if you see the month in August, that kind of really threw our average for the entire year higher. And next month. Okay, and larceny thefts, there was a huge drop in thefts, and I think that was also reflective in our numbers overall for the year. November was about 150, and then in December we went all the way down to almost 130. So, but still the average was 152 because of the months in May and June were really high months, and they threw that average up real high. And then grand theft autos, we were really high in September. That's kind of like that fall time when we started being proactive and reminding people of those warm-up stolens, and then just some of the criminal activity that was preying on vehicles during that time of year. And we had a huge drop, as you could tell, well, a slight drop, if you will, from below our average to about 45 in December, and it was still below our annual average of 51 thefts of vehicles. And that's the specific statistics that we can go over. Hopefully that answers your question, sir.
It does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Thanks, Mike.
All right,
As
thank you
usual,
very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
California Highway Patrol, how are you, sir?
Good morning and Happy New Year to everybody.
Same to you, sir.
Same as you.
We'll give you some statistics for the year end 2016. This again for the entire Antelope Valley area. Unfortunately, we finished with 29 fatalities, which was a 61% increase from the previous year. We had 4 in December. Total injuries, 677. Total accidents, 1,650, an increase of 36%. Total of 458 DUIs, plus an additional 151 that were involved in traffic collisions. Over 13,000 arrests, and 4,200 verbal warnings for the year. A little bit over 18,000 enforcement contacts and 5,200 motor services to motorists in the area. We finished off the year with a very successful Chips for Kids program also. It was a little better than we did last year, a little bit over 9,000 toys. We're very grateful for the community and everybody that contributed to that very successful program for us. Last year, when I reported to this area, one of my goals was to bring recruitment and hiring to the area. It was successful. We're having our first testing phase for cadet hiring for the Highway Patrol. It's taking place on the 21st at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds. And my goal is to recruit local people from the area and bring them back subsequently. So we've been very successful, and we just got one cadet that graduated last month, and he's a local resident of Lancaster. So very grateful for that, and hopefully we can make an impact in the future.
How many officers are you looking on hiring up here in the next year?
Last year, we typically hire somewhere between 300 and 350 a year.
Wow.
And all we're doing is keeping up with attrition. We have about 350 vacancies.
Wow.
And how many vacancies we have here in the Antelope Valley?
I just had an officer that retired, so I have one.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate everything you do. Mr. Franklin.
Morning. The facts and figures that I have for the entire Antelope Valley, this is through November. Hopefully by February, my office will have the entire year, and I can give you the entire year of 2016 breakdown and rundown. But from January 1st, 2016 through November 2016, we filed a total of 2,593 felonies. For the month of November, that would be 244. We declined year to date, or through November, 1,243. As far as misdemeanors, from, again, January 1st through the end of November, we filed 6,933 misdemeanors, and that would be 600 of those for the month of November. So we still have, I believe, the most misdemeanors filed in the county. I do hope, as I indicated, next in February, I'll be able to give you the entire year's breakdown. Also, I'll be able to give you the amount of jury trials that we have processed through the year, and I think it's going to be very high, which is a good thing, because we in the district attorney's office here in the Antelope Valley dictate what is going to be tried and what's not going to be tried, unlike some other courthouses where the defense will dictate what's going to be tried and what's not. So I'll have those figures for you next month. And then just internally, there's been shuffling. We will be getting I'll be getting a new director. My current director, Vicki Adams, who's excellent, and she's been very supportive of the Antelope Valley and of my policies here. She'll be going to special operations, and we'll be getting a new director, and I'm hoping he'll be as positive an influence as Miss Adams is. So maybe I can get him up here to even meet the commission at some point. That would conclude my presentation.
Any questions for Mr. Franklin?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. City Attorney's on. Mr. Bozigian, City Manager, for Mr. Dorico.
Thank you. Mr. Dorico is sick today. Apologize for not being here. I want to go over just a couple things in the public safety update, some of it to reiterate what Deputy Ruiz said and to put it in context. Preliminary information, City of Lancaster's number of crimes, not crime rate, should be down about 5.6%. To put that in context, it looks like the county as a whole, the areas patrolled by the Sheriff's Department, will be up something like 6.7%. 18 of the 23 patrol stations in LA County will be up. Lancaster and Palmdale will be down. And the contract cities, 33 of the 42 contract cities will also be up. So I think it's an excellent job that our Sheriff's Department's done, but it's not just the Sheriff's Department, it's the community, it's our public safety staff, some of them represented here, it's this commission, it's certainly the council for putting priority, and I want to talk a couple of ways of how priority is put. The City of Lancaster has the largest sheriff contract of all 44 contract cities. It's around $22 million, give or take. The city's public safety budget is about $28 million. Actually, I think the contract of the Sheriff's Department is closer to 24. One of the ways we look at that is working aggressively to keep costs down. There's something called a liability trust fund. And as you see nationwide big jury verdicts against law enforcement, that impacts the Sheriff's Department. And all of the cities collectively fund a liability trust fund, which is jointly managed by the contract cities, an independent third party, and Los Angeles County through the County Council. That rate has gone up considerably over the last couple of years. It went from 6 to 9% in the last budget year, which is a $660,000 increase for the City of Lancaster without an increase in service. Through aggressive work by the contract city associations and a couple of city managers, most particularly the city manager from Santa Clarita and Malibu, the rate this year is only going to be about a 0.5% increase, which is still not great, but it's a lot less than it could be. So that's one of the ways. One of the other things I think that the station and the City of Lancaster don't get enough credit for, particularly the Sheriff's Station, is the productivity. Deputies are very expensive and the contract's very expensive, but in the last full year of operations, based on Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's own measurement statistics, Lancaster Station was the most productive station in all of the 23 stations in LA County in terms of arrests, observations, calls for service, etc. They were fully 37% more productive than the average for all of the stations. That's a huge deal because that means our residents who are paying for the sheriff's contract are getting 37% more than the average taxpayer throughout the rest of the county. That is a great testament to Captain Nelson and his management staff, his executive staff. It also is a testament to a council who does not limit what the Sheriff's Department does, but tries to give all the resources, whether that's through the Sheriff's Booster Club or just a community who supports a Sheriff's Department. If your community supports a Sheriff's Department, they're going to be more active and they're going to do their job. And we've seen examples across the country where communities do not support their law enforcement, and you see what happens. They are less active. They don't feel someone has their back. So beyond just numbers, it is a good news story of the community and the Sheriff's Department working together in the face, as Deputy Ruiz said, of significant obstacles throughout the state. For example, in 2015, the crime rate went up statewide in all of the 10 largest cities in California. So we are bucking a trend so far, and that's through the good work of a lot of people in the community. That concludes my report. Thank you for that.
Mr. Bozigian, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bozigian, City Manager?
Thank you very much, Ms. Bozigian.
Thank you. Rick? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? We're back at work, so I'm happy.
That's right.
Chairman Little and Commissioners Harris and Brown, thank you for allowing us to come here and speak. Senator Wilk was sworn in on December 5th, and January 5th, we reconvened the California State Senate. The next big action took place yesterday, which was the budget that was presented by Governor Brown. We're still working through that. not enough money for transportation and crime prevention. A lot of money still going to the high-speed rail. That will have a May revision before it goes to the Houses on July 1st, so hopefully it'll change a little bit, but I seriously doubt if much changes will be done. Senator Wilk was appointed as Vice Chairman of the Ag and Education Committees. He also serves on the Economic Development Committee and on the Veterans Affairs Committee. Sacramento staff is working on our legislative budget, our legislative packages, and the deadline to submit requests will be on January 20th, and all bills must be in the Senate by February 17th, and they must pass out of the Senate by June 2nd. Some of the bills that we're working on looking at is impose a $20,000 fine in civil liability for a state agency and department head who knowingly falsifies and submits a misleading report to the legislature. I can't understand why that would happen, but it does. We're reviewing still legislation for the Porter Ranch residents, even though it's out of our district. Assemblyman Wilk was very involved with that, and he still wants to pursue it as a senator to get legislation through the California State Senate and the Assembly to prevent future leaks in the Alicio Canyon area. We're also still working on, which was, I believe, SB 1367 last year, presented by Senator Runner, which was dealing with synthetic drugs, spice and salts. We're still working on that bill. We're not going to give that up. He wants to pursue that last year, even though it failed getting out of committee. We still want to work on that. We worked hard with the city of Lancaster and with Lee DeRico to get that bill presented, so we're still going to pursue that this coming year. We're also looking at changing what's called the age of onset definition for developmentally disabled children, increasing that age from 18 to 22 to align with federal law and 38 other states. We seem to drop kids as they turn 18 that still have developmental issues from receiving help and aid. So we're trying to get that increased to the age of 22. And we're still working on, looking at researching more legislation to help our California vets in the state of California. So with that, a little bit of information. For the 2017-2018 session, the Assembly increased its historical 40 bill introduction limit to 50 bills this year. Gee, Russ, I was going to work hard. The Senate, we did not increase our bill introductions for limits for 2017. What this really comes down to, assuming all Assembly members and senators introduce a maximum number of bills over the next 2 years, there could be over 5,000 bills presented up at the House. And Senator Wilk, in his statement, says we don't need more bills introduced and more laws enacted. We need less laws and less regulations, and we need some of these old bills and old laws to be repealed. We are too over-regulated and too overtaxed in this state. So that is his official statement, and I totally agree with him. So thank you.
Any questions for Rick? Rick, you have one other announcement on your wife's new facility.
Yes.
Would you like to mention that, please?
Yeah, the Ellis and John Transitional Care Center is looking at licensing. They hopefully will be up and get licensed by the end of this month. It is a 170-bed acute rehab center. 70 of those beds will be dedicated to just totally acute rehab. These are patients that are on vents and not able to get up and move around, and then 100 beds will be dedicated to total rehab. A lot of patients need more time to they come from the hospital, they go into a skilled nursing facility, but they need more acute care. This Ellis and John is located on the footprint that Lancaster Community Hospital used to be on. It went from 117 beds, totally destroyed the old hospital, built a new 170-bed facility on that property. She is looking for the community to come and take visits, tours, small groups, large groups. You can contact her at 661-350-3975 to set up an appointment to take a tour. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Mr. Russ Williams.
Good morning. As Rick mentioned, the governor's budget came through. That's the one thing we'll talk about for the assembly real quickly. He did bring that up. The assemblyman was a little disappointed in the lack of funding for transportation, as was mentioned, with the 70,000 or so commuters we have going over the hill every day. He believes there should have been more emphasis placed on that on the budget. So he wasn't pleased about that. Assemblyman Lackey was also on the commission for the confirmation of the Attorney General appointed by the governor. And after interviewing Xavier Barras for the position of Attorney General, he voted no, although he will still probably be placed as Attorney General for the state of California. He was not backed by Assemblyman Lackey. Other than that, this is our first. We did up the bills, as you mentioned, from 40 to 50 bills available, so we were going to be a little busier than before at the Assembly office.
Great.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks, Russ. This is the time where anybody who wants to speak, you can fill out a speaking card on non-agendized items, because obviously we don't have a quorum. And I have one speaker card, Mr. David Paul. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Paul, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thanks, Howard. Archie, anything on the LEAPS program, anything?
Interaction with Captain Nelson and with Mike are just superb. We're looking forward to upgrading the system. I know that Mark and Lee have been working towards that. They did also contribute to making our community a lot safer.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for everything you guys do. So.
Sir, I'm sorry if I may also interrupt. In regards to the LEAP program, I will have a full report in February for their annual activity for all of 2016.
Do you want me to remind you to get it off your desk? Because
I might need help with that, sir, if you don't mind.
All right. Okay.
I'll remind you to remind me.
I thought you said you forgot something on your desk. And I just, yeah.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, in February I'll have the exact numbers that are finalized for 2016 as far as crime stats, and then I'll have a full report for the annual arrest and activity for the LEAPS program.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you
so much. Now, Mr. David Paul. Sorry about that, sir.
Mr. Vice Chair and Commissioners, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy New Year to everyone. I stayed home last night and I watched the President's farewell address, and he had some good advice in there about becoming involved civically and opening our hearts to the situation of the other. So that was pretty inspirational. As I sat here, Deputy Ruiz, this New Year's Eve was the first time I ever heard gunshots around my home. And I'm wondering, don't we have those triangular sound triangulation devices to tell you where that comes from? Because it was a double-barrel shotgun. It got a distinct sound, and the first time it went off, I said, that's unmistakable. And then the second time it went off, boom, boom, you know what it is. So anybody that's got one of those double-barreled ones by my house, that's who shot that. Okay.
We'd like to get the address, sir, if you get a chance.
Yeah.
At the end of the meeting.
I'll give that to you. In regard to what the President said about being involved, Dr. Brown, I've been coming to the hospital board meetings, and had Dennis Knox been rehired, I would have had an official role in trying to raise the morale of the hospital. But I wish us luck there, and I see a lot of people involved trying to make sure the hospital functions well, and that's always great. I was all excited last month when we had a couple of guests come that were from the previous night's council meeting and came and watched. And I always try and encourage people to come here and see what goes on. I mean, you can watch it on TV, but you get a much better feel being in the room and seeing how everybody reacts, and being able to give straightforward comments to people who need to hear them. So hopefully we can work on filling up this room with citizens who want to become involved. It was a little discouraging when I went to that Sheriff's Advisory meeting with the NAACP, and, you know, you see there that even within people trying to bring order, there's conflict. So we have a long way to go, but I'm confident we'll get there, and I signed on to continue to help. And as usual, the appreciation I have for everyone who just gets out there every day and does it is enormous. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Same to you, sir. Okay, Commissioner comments, anything? No. Go ahead, Rick.
I apologize. I wanted to introduce one of our new field reps at our office, Andrew Awad. Stand up, Andrew. Please welcome him into our hearts and our community as we go forward this year. So
Fantastic. Welcome.
Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome, Andrew. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, Councilman Molly, for being here. Mr. Bozigian, and everyone else who showed up. Mr. Cottle, thank you. Hopefully, we'll have a full board next month. So, and a full agenda. So, we'll adjourn for Wednesday, February 8th, 2017, at 10 a.m. Thank you. No, I thank Jason.
You said Jason.
I said Jason. I said